Welcome to StartupHakk. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at StartupHakk, we love to train software developers and build custom software solutions. So I do a lot of work as a fractional CTO, and with over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. So today we're discussing a hot topic: why the job market will come back strong in 2024. And let's dive into and take a look at some of my analysis, some statistics. I've got a lot of stuff to go over and look at through here. And so let's dive in and take a look at this today. All right, so we're going to dive into this today and take a look at 10 reasons that I think the job market's going to come back in 2024. I think we're seeing a lot of early signs of an upswing for software development jobs in 2024. Now, layoffs are always going to be a natural part of this industry. Those who don't know that and say, oh, these layoffs, I think there's become a hypersensitivity to the layoffs that are happening, and every time we see them in the press, we think, oh no. But like a lot of the layoffs, as I've reviewed this and as I'll go through today, their companies dying out. And so, yeah, layoffs are going to happen when a company dies. So I think a lot of that we're seeing is some people being over hypersensitive, or I think some FUD, some fear, uncertainty, and doubt that the media likes to portray. So one thing that's definitely for sure, the media loves FUD. It loves to hear about layoffs. Layoffs are some of the things that the media is going to way overblow, I think, in my opinion. Now, but we're going to dive into 10 reasons that I think the software development job market are going to come back in 2024. And I've got some specifics to drive this. So according to recent data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, the overall economic indicators are showing signs of a recovery. The GDP growth rate is projected to be around 3.5 in 2024, which is a significant improvement from the previous years. So a recovering economy typically leads to increasing hiring across all sectors. But as companies regain confidence, they start investing in new projects and expanding their teams. So I think this is a really good thing, especially for developers and developing job seekers. And I think a strong economy creates fertile ground for job growth, especially around tech. Now, Forbes reports that investments in the tech industry are on the rise, with venture capital funding expected to hit $150 billion in 2024. So this influx of capital means that more startups and tech companies are emerging and that they're creating numerous job opportunities. So when investors pump money into tech, it fuels innovation and expansion. This expansion necessitates hiring more talent to support growth. For developers, this translates to more jobs and exciting projects to work on. All right, I'm going to switch over here to some of the statistics that I have. So this is layoffs.fyi. This is a great place to take a look here, and you can dig into the exacts. And I'm actually going to spend a minute actually kind of digging into the exacts, because let's talk a little bit about even some of these layoffs that they're showing here. So make this a little bit bigger here so we can see it here for you guys on camera. And apologies if I'm not looking at the camera when I do this. The stats are off to the side here. So we can see like Waycool is reporting one of these larger layoffs that we see here in a while, right? These are sorted by the layoffs that are listed. This is the food industry. Number of layoffs is 200, right? Like I kind of, part of me feels like, man, this is and it's 200 layoffs. The percentage of the companies is what I'm really looking at here, right? So like in this case, Blue Learn was reporting some layoffs, but it was 100% of the company. The company's shutting down. That's what's happening there, right? When you see On, right, in Silicon, the Bay Area, reporting 60 layoffs, it's 100% of that is 100% of the company's layoffs. So you see things that are, when a company dies, you're going to see some of this. Now, I think Intuit's probably one of the larger ones, but I think Intuit was actually pretty slow moving, to be honest. And so I think Intuit actually is doing, this is one of the larger layoffs that we see on here, and I'll talk about Redbox in a second. But Intuit, is a pretty slow mover. So I think this is actually right in line with Facebook, Google, and some of these layoffs that we saw from the COVID spike to now the COVID drop, as we saw free funding during COVID and some of that free funding dropping off. Anything to do with tax and everything, they weren't going to lay off in April and May. But now come July, this is when you're going to see this layoff, right? And so it is a post IPO. They've been around for a while, but I think this is really just some of the tail end of that. And so I think that even skewed some of these metrics. A company like Redbox, they're doing 100% layoff with approximately 1,000 employees. So when you start to see some of this, Redbox is a classic case of a company that didn't innovate, right? They had their brick and mortar, which was the little kiosks outside of stores. Frankly, this is like a demise. They stayed around for a little longer than a Blockbuster per se, right? Blockbuster that we all knew from the 90s and 2000s. They died because people didn't come to a store to rent DVDs anymore. Well, Redbox was able to stay around a little bit longer because they had a lot leaner of a business model, but ultimately that was a business that was going to die. I don't even know anybody who owns a DVD player. Even my 80-year-old, parents and parents and in-laws don't even own DVD players anymore. So of course they were going to die and lay off 1,000 people. So frankly, I don't think that one has anything to do with like the times of the season, so to speak. Now, part of what I wanted to show here though is that as we see, the tech layoffs from 2022 to 2024. We see the spike here. We saw a little dip. We saw another little spike in January. I think this was, again, some of those that had kind of waited to get some projects through in 2023 and then, cleaned house and those. But then we saw a huge drop in March, little tick up in April. But again, I think those were some of those bigger specific ones. And then we see these, trickle down. Actual number of employees laid off, right? We see Q1 of 2023 was our largest overall number of employees laid off. But really those employee layoffs are pretty low through here, right? We're almost back to, pandemic type numbers here. And so you can see that we're pretty low coming into Q3. Q2, still pretty high and definitely is part of this ramp up, but I definitely think we see this trending down, and I think we're going to continue to see it trend down. Now, as you look at also the tech layoffs by industry, right? I think this also goes into some of this. I think we're seeing some pandemic things. People, scaled up on retail, consumer. Hardware is an interesting one. Food and healthcare. So that's kind of an interesting one. But I think as we start to see this, I think you'll see a lot of pandemic era things that were coming from that. So. And that leads me into, so the PR Newswire highlights that remote work is here to stay. So with 80% of tech companies adopting hybrid work models. So now, I know there's been a lot of return to office, right? And return to office is a real thing, and we've talked a lot about it. But 80% of tech companies are now adopting some level of hybrid work models. And I think that's what we ultimately saw from COVID, is that people learned that, hey, look, we can still work with some level of remote. Pre-pandemic, people that had some level of hybrid, you didn't really see the term hybrid because it just wasn't that popular. But now, post, we're seeing a lot, pretty much 80%. That's a large number. And so this shift has opened up job markets globally, allowing companies to hire talent from anywhere. The flexibility of remote work makes it easier for businesses to scale their teams quickly. As companies become more comfortable with remote setups, they're more likely to hire, knowing they can tap into a broad talent pool. For job seekers, this means more opportunities. Now, Tech TIA, and let me switch over here again to my other camera. So Tech TIA, I'm going to talk about that one here in a second. Where is it here? So CompTIA, excuse me, I keep calling it Tech TIA. CompTIA says tech hiring intent at the highest point since last year. And so they're definitely showing, and this report shows that that tech hiring intent is at its highest point since last year, with 96% of executives planning to expand their IT teams, right? And so, 96% of companies are saying they're going to expand their tech teams, over the next coming year, right? And so this strong hiring intent indicates a positive outlook for the job market. Companies are prepared. See, the jump in tech posting is an encouraging indicator when more employees are coming off the sidelines, right? So I think a lot of people have been waiting for these projects, and new job postings are coming in higher. And I'm definitely seeing this, as I'm starting to staff up for some of these contract jobs that we have coming in for StartupHakk's consulting side of the business. The developers are starting to get multiple offers, right? And they're competing not my offers just against myself, but also with other offers. So this is particularly encouraging for software developers and IT professionals. Hiring and high hiring talent means an intent for jobs and offers for their career. So I think this is a good sign. Now, there's also, we've heard everywhere, the rise in cyber threats, right? And it's led to a growing demand for cybersecurity experts. According to LinkedIn, cybersecurity job postings have increased by 31% over the past year. So wink, wink, if you're looking for something, if you're out of work, this might be an area to really dig in and to try to specialize on, to really update your skill set on. Because we're definitely, and I've read about a dozen different reports that shows that we're going to see an increase in the cybersecurity development around cybersecurity, not just the cybersecurity jobs. I think those are good, but I think development around cybersecurity, if you're a software developer, are what we're really going to see continue to grow over the next year. So companies are investing heavily in this, securing their digital assets, which means they need skilled professionals to manage their security infrastructure. I think especially as we go towards AI and what it means for security around AI, there's a lot of people talking about that, and we're going to definitely need to have a lot of security around AI. So this demand is unlikely to wane anytime soon, ensuring steady job growth in this field. For developers with cybersecurity skills, the job market looks really promising. Now, I mentioned a minute ago, but the tech industry's focus on AI and machine learning continues to grow. Yahoo Finance reports that AI-related job postings have surged by 45% in 2023 and are expected to rise further in 2024. So again, if you're out of work, this is a great place to dive in, start building some skills around AI. For us here, we wanted to get experience, so we chose to build AskMini.ai, and we learned how to build our own LLMs. And so if you haven't checked out AskMini.ai, go check it out. It's a great tool. It lets you query against multiple different LLMs with one query, either by selecting part of the page or also with the chat feature. But we just wanted to be able to build some of our own experience against it, so we started to build on these. And so this is a great example of a way that if you are looking to update your skill set, dig in, go build those build that skill set, and it will help you in the job postings. All right, so but again, they've posted, so Yahoo Finance has posted, and so this is actually, I'm not sharing my screen here. Let me share that screen. Wrong button, sorry about that. So a staggering 96% of executives feel it's urgent to integrate AI across their business operations. And that's huge, right? That's a huge number. And if you've ever been part of an organization that's trying to implement new technology, developers are always part of that, right? So software development and IT jobs are going to be huge around this, right? Aiming to incorporate the new tech within the next 18 months, and it rose from 5% to 35% over the same time period, right? So over the last 18 months, 5% said AI to 35%, and I think that's probably low. So in fact, figuring out how to implement AI with their own workforce beat out their other top executive concerns, including inflation or the economy. So everybody's trying in this race for AI, and nobody knows exactly how to go get it. And so this is one of the big things that they're trying to work on. It's not surprising, somebody says, right? There's so much hype and excitement, but the C-suite enthusiasm doesn't match the pace which their employees are actually learning the new tech, and that's the problem, right? So if you know how to learn AI, this is a huge time to dive in, right? So not only just how to use it, but also how to build with it. So I think that's going to be a huge area of opportunity for software development jobs. So, so as AI technology advances, companies need experts to develop, implement, and maintain these systems. This will create numerous job opportunities for developers with AI and machine learning experiences. The expanding AI field is a major driver of job growth in tech right now. I'm seeing that in everywhere from funding all the way down. So, now, the BLS projects that a 22% growth rate for software developer roles from 2020 to 2030, and it's much faster pace than the average for all occupations. This rebound is fueled by the ongoing digital transformation across industries. Companies are continually seeking to improve their digital presence and operational efficiencies through software solutions. This creates a consistent demand for skilled software developers. With a project growth rate like this, a job market for developers is set to thrive, and it's definitely just gonna go up. I know, like when there was a report that came out in June, and I know this one got a lot of negative attention, of course. Remember, mainstream media is really all about fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? So something like the rise and fall of the software developer. In some ways, everybody wants to root against the guy that's winning, right? And tech is one that people who don't understand want to root against because they don't understand it, and they don't understand why tech gets paid so much, why, and they don't really understand that. And I thought that, saw that, and a lot of this creates, this looks like a really, really scary, and I want to kind of dig into this graph because I've seen this graph posted in probably, 30 places all over the internet. And it's like, oh, it peaked and it's been in a decline. Okay, let's look at this here for a minute. Let's really break down this chart because I think actually inside of this there's actually a period of strength. Now, first of all, we did see that those layoffs, went up and they saw a little spike around the 1st of 2024, right? And so I think we saw, this, what we're seeing is this January time period, right? And we definitely saw the run up during COVID where there was, and so this is the employment index. So remember what this is. So January 2018 is where it marked this 100%, right? And this is the employment index. And again, there's only ADP's take on it, but and they saw this run up. And this was this time period where you literally could not hire a developer. I've talked about it before, but we had development positions where we had a staff of about 50 developers across 5 teams, and we had 8 job openings that we literally couldn't fill. There was not enough developers. We had funding approved, the jobs were approved by HR and by all the funding, and yet we literally couldn't hire them. And then we saw COVID hit, right? And then we saw the market swing back up to kind of pre-COVID, right? To pre-2018. And then we saw it slowly start to decline as people were leaving jobs. And I think we saw people switching jobs a lot here. Then we kind of saw them peak again, right? And again, look at this metric here. This is like 97% to 100 of pre-18. This is a funny graph. First of all, it's a very funny graph. But I want to read this little footnote that's here because this is funny. As employment has fallen, pay growth has lagged that of the U.S. workers. Okay, now, I'm going to be the first one to say that especially during this period, developers and all IT personnel's pay got so hyperinflated it was ridiculous. It was totally crazy. I hired one kid out of college, next to no experience. I think he had one small internship of like 2 or 3 months. And we had to pay him like $125 because it was so competitive, plus all of his benefits and everything with a company that had really good benefits. And so has pay growth lagged? Yeah, okay. So between January 2018 and January 2024, the median base pay for developers grew by 24%, while pay growth for the U.S. Workers grew 30%. Okay, so it's saying that we grew slightly slower, right? And that's what this chart's trying to show. The pay growth for developers grew slightly smaller. This last part is the part that I really want to highlight. Still, developers remain well compensated, earning more than 2 times the U.S. median salary. Let that sink in again. I'm going to read that again just for effect, right? Still, developers remain well compensated, earning more than 2 times the U.S. median salary. So this is saying that there's been some slight drop in the salaries from when they were obviously, in my opinion, highly inflated. So again, I've seen this chart all over. I think there's a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's been driven around this, and I think that's just really like one of these things that that we really need to make sure we understand before we go and dive into saying that that's a big driving point. So the tech industry is super resilient. The tech industry has shown remarkable resilience during the economic downturns. Now, the PR Newswire indicates that tech companies are quicker to adapt and to recover, often leading the way in economic rebounds. So I've talked before how I think a Trump presidency this fall is going to bring up a stronger economy. I think we've seen that. And as we see a stronger economy rebound, I think we will see tech lead the way, especially while we're still riding this AI bubble. I do think there's an AI bubble that I think is also going to be part of this rise. The resilience is due to the critical role technology plays in all sectors. As industries recover, their reliance on tech for innovation and efficiency drives tech growth, and it drives job growth. This resilience ensures that tech jobs remain in demand even during challenging times. Now, there's a growing emphasis on green technology and sustainable solutions. Forbes notes that green tech investments are expected to reach 50 billion by 2024. So, I've talked a little bit about these before, but overall, there is a significant increase in education and upskilling programs aimed at bridging skill gaps in tech. PR Newswire reports that initiatives like coding boot camps and online courses are seeing record enrollments. These programs are preparing a new generation of tech professionals ready to meet the tech industry's demands. As more individuals gain relevant skills, they become eligible for numerous job openings in tech. Upskilling initiatives are vital for a robust job market. Now, I've talked about this before and what I think you should do if you are one of these junior developers coming into the market. This is a tough market for junior developers. The people getting hired are more experienced, partly because these projects have been sitting on the shelf for the last couple of years now at this point, waiting, and now they want to hit it, they've gotten the funding, they want to hit it hard. And I've seen that with multiple different jobs that I'm working with right now. So, given these factors, I think that we're really seeing that the job market for software developers and tech role is poised for a strong comeback in 2024, and I think it's going to be even stronger in 2025. Now, overall, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Love to hear if you guys think I'm wrong, if you guys think, what you're seeing. Are you currently out of work looking for work? Are you, what have you seen from other people in the industry? Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Make sure you leave a comment. It's one of the best ways that best compliments you can give me is when you leave a comment, because here at StartupHakk, we love to train software developers. With our, with my 25 years of development experience, we love to take software developers in our coding boot camps and to build custom software solutions for companies. So always make sure you reach out, and again, make sure you leave comments. It's one of the best ways that you can say thank you for some of this. And we do try to bring you guys really good, valuable content each week. So make sure that you like and subscribe. Share this video with other people around you. That's really one of the big things that I really love is getting, seeing people share it, seeing people like it. These are the things that really drive me to continue to make this content for you. Also, love to hear what you guys are thinking about it, right? I would love to hear, comments as well as, so I do see one comment here. It says the next big phase of tech will be medium-sized regional tech. And this is from Chris. And so thanks, Chris. I like that. I think you're right. I think the big tech companies, we're going to see trim. I think we may see them continue to trim a little bit. I think we're seeing some reshuffle. I think even Google just announced they were doing some reshuffle. And of course, the headline media grabbed this as like, oh, this is going to be this big layoff. And I read into it, and it's like they're going to lose 20 jobs or something like that. And you look at the scope of somebody like Google. So I do think the medium-sized tech, regional tech, is going to hit this, because I think what they're going to have to do is start implementing big data, AI, a lot of these things in order to stay relevant and competitive. So Chris, I appreciate the comment, and I agree with you. I think we're going to see. I think we'll see a lot of. I think we will see a lot of growth in those medium-sized companies. So thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Again, love to hear your guys' input. I answer these comments personally. I'm definitely working on growing this channel, and so the best thing that you can do for me is to give me your opinions. Like, I love hearing you guys who have boots on the ground. And keep in touch. We will talk with you guys next time. And otherwise, make sure you like and subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.